The Rise and Fall of Marcus "Rich" Reynolds. A Kingpin's Downfall. The untold story of Marcus "Rich" Reynolds. If money could buy immunity, Marcus Reynolds would still be ruling the streets. But even the wealthiest criminals can't outrun justice forever. He was the king of an empire built on narcotics, living a life of luxury, feared by many, and seemingly untouchable. But his reign came crashing down in a dramatic turn of events that shocked the nation. This is the gripping true story of how Marcus "Rich" Reynolds went from a street dealer to one of the most powerful drug lords in America, only to lose it all in the blink of an eye. Detroit streets were unforgiving, but for Marcus Reynolds, they were the training ground for something much bigger. Raised in a tough neighborhood, Marcus learned early that power and respect didn't come from playing by the rules. He had a mind built for business, but instead of boardrooms, he chose the back alleys and secretive deals that defined his rise. He started small, selling dime bags outside his high school. But his natural talent for networking and negotiation put him miles ahead of his competition. Marcus didn't just want to be another dealer. He wanted control. By the time he turned 20, he was already making six figures, recruiting young hustlers to run his corners while he focused on the bigger picture. His ambition led him to the major players, the cartels who saw potential in him. With direct access to suppliers, he cut out the middlemen and dominated the market. By 25, he wasn't just wealthy, he was untouchable. Money flowed like water, and so did the fear. Anyone who dared to cross him either vanished or regretted it. The streets whispered his name, but few dared to speak it aloud. Marcus wasn't shy about his success. He owned multi-million-dollar mansions, threw wild parties attended by celebrities, and drove cars that even legitimate businessmen could only dream of. His real estate investments, high-end clubs, and car dealerships provided a legitimate front for his illicit fortune. But Marcus didn't just buy luxury, he bought loyalty. Cops, politicians, and even judges found themselves on his payroll. Whenever law enforcement tried to close in, their cases mysteriously fell apart. Witnesses either refused to testify or disappeared altogether. He didn't just rule the drug trade, he owned the system designed to stop him. Yet, his arrogance became his biggest flaw. He believed he was invincible, a belief that made him reckless. The man who once carefully planned every move started making dangerous mistakes. Marcus was feared, but he was also hated. Rival gangs, law enforcement, and even former allies wanted him gone. His organization had grown too big, too powerful. And with that power came enemies who were waiting for him to slip. It finally happened when he crossed paths with Jerome Carter, a man Marcus trusted like a brother. What Marcus didn't know was that Jerome had been secretly working with the FBI. Years of evidence were piling up: drug transactions, recorded conversations, money laundering schemes, and even ordered hits. Jerome had been Marcus's closest ally, but in reality, he was the key to his downfall. April 15th. Marcus's day of reckoning. At dawn, over 200 federal agents stormed his heavily guarded mansion. They came with armored vehicles, helicopters, and an ironclad case that even Marcus's expensive lawyers couldn't shake. He barely had time to react before he was thrown to the ground, handcuffed, and dragged away in front of his terrified entourage. As the news spread, shockwaves rippled through the criminal underworld. Marcus, the man everyone feared, was now just another suspect in an orange jumpsuit. His empire was crumbling before his eyes. The courtroom was packed. The media dubbed it the trial of the decade. Prosecutors painted Marcus as a ruthless kingpin, responsible for an empire built on addiction and blood. Former allies, desperate for reduced sentences, took the stand against him. The evidence was overwhelming: wiretaps, bank records, testimonies, and years of meticulously collected surveillance. His defense team fought hard, but there was no escaping justice this time. The once invincible Marcus Reynolds sat in silence as the judge read the verdict: guilty on all counts. Sentenced to life without parole, Marcus had lost everything. His wealth, his power, his fearsome reputation, it all meant nothing now. He was just another prisoner, a cautionary tale for those who thought they were above the law. The government seized his assets, his luxury homes were auctioned, and his businesses were shut down. The people who once feared him now celebrated his downfall. His story became a warning to anyone who believed crime could lead to a lasting legacy. Marcus Reynolds thought he had built an empire that would last forever. But in the end, it was built on sand, and the tide had finally come in. Money, power, and fear had kept him at the top. But they couldn't keep him from falling.